Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're in the shop today and we have the truck behind us, and that is because we have one more mod to wrap up this Bison bumper swap. Now, do you need to do this modification with the Bison bumper? No, but while we're in here, we might as well go ahead and get this done. So what we'll be installing today, as you guys can see, is this kit from General Motors. This is going to be part number 84983535. This is a engine coolant heater, and it is from GN Accessories. So basically what we'll be installing is a engine block heater. I live in the South, so do we really need this modification? I'll be honest, no, not really, but since we're in here, since we're going to be tearing stuff apart anyway, it's not a bad modification to do, and it shouldn't be too difficult to get this done. So basically all we're going to be doing is taking out the rear freeze plug on the block over here on the driver's side. That is a 17mm socket. We're going to be threading in this engine block heater. Basically, this just screws in where that freeze plug is, and this is a 26mm socket. That's right there. The installation document that I have says it's 27mm, however, it is not. I found that on a post somewhere from one of the message boards, but yeah, so I'll drop a link down to the document as well as kind of the install guide that I saw previously, and go ahead and get all this stuff installed. So basically how this is going to work, put this into the engine block. We got some coolant to help refill the coolant when we need to. So that first harness is the harness that will be going to the bumper. The second harness is the one that will be plugging into the engine block. So this harness that's covered in this foil. And then this third harness is what you're going to be plugging in from the front of the bumper into your house or extension cord. So yeah, pretty much a 3-4 piece deal. Alright, so you can see under here we've gotten the fender liner off, and we've also taken the bottom skid plate off. And if you guys can see where I'm pointing at, that is actually where the last freeze plug is on the block. You're going to need a 17mm hex headed socket to pull that out, and I did have to go buy that at AutoZone. Also, you're going to want to be careful here because you might take a bath in coolant, so just be careful with it. Take the socket out slowly and try not to get yourself covered. Alright guys, in the middle of the screen you can see a silver looking item with 2 terminal plugs in it. That is actually the heating element. We did get it screwed into the block. Guys, be very careful when you put this in because you are trying to thread that into aluminum, and if you screw that up, that is a freeze plug. That is not something that can easily be fixed on a LS or LT motor, and you can totally screw up your block. So I took extra special care and caution to, try to slide that in by hand and thread it. And once I did get it started with a socket, I took the socket and extension back off. I threaded in the rest of the way by hand, and I just wanted to make sure nothing was cross-threaded. And like I said, we torqued it down to 37 foot-pounds. Now down under the truck, obviously we made a mess, but we tried to catch as much as we could. We have this tray, we've got 2 or 3 buckets on it, and if you guys can see in there, that's how much coolant we caught. And yeah, so just try to be as careful as you can. And I was gonna say, I was gonna try to take the fitting out earlier and slowly let it drain. Guys, that's not what happened. Pretty much I got it loose and then the whole thing just let go. So if you are trying to drain it from the freeze plug, just prepare to take a bath and try to cover up as much stuff as you can. So the progress that we made pretty much matches up with the install document, and hey, we are able to use the garage PC. But yeah, you know that we've got the heating element installed, and I'm just looking at this referring to the the instructions for running the cabling and whatnot, and it looks like we may have to bend the tabs down on the cord that plugs into the little heater element. We have to bend that down. And then just looking at the routing, I thought this would have ran to the front of the motor and then over, because that's what the LS motors usually do. But with this LT, they want you to run almost straight down, sideways in the frame toward you. Then it'll go up under this brake booster, little banjo bolt setup, up along the frame, along the shock tower, down and to the front. So I think that's just how we're going to run it. Now, this front section we're going to have to change because this document was not written for the AT4X AEV or the Bison because the bumper's different. For the off-road, they actually have the plug up on the top of the engine bay, but for us, we have the plug up front. And so we're gonna have to kind of modify what they want, because I'll scroll down. They have a section here where they want you to use this circular part of the frame and to plug this bracket into. It's right here. There's a circular part of the frame. Well guys, that's actually where the Bison Bumper side support plugs into. You know, it's a circular piece that goes into there, and there's a rod going to the front of the bumper. So this little plastic piece that they gave us that we, you know, we're trying to cut off and swap isn't going to work, because like I said, we've got that bumper piece there. So we'll have to modify that a little bit, probably just zip tie it somewhere, but just did want to show you kind of graphically, you know, on the install instructions of what our differences will be between a normal Silverado and a ZR2 Bison. In the middle of the screen, you guys will see a foil wrapped wire connection. I'm pointing the flashlight to it. That is actually the bottom of the wire that goes to the heating element. That runs up here, right here where I'm pointing the flashlight down right here. You guys can see that plastic tab with a long leg on it. That's where one of those goes. The second one goes up here back behind the mount. You're not really gonna be able to see that. So there's two of those little like stands that's gonna plug in there. And then the third connector for this wire goes on top of the strut right here. It goes on top of the bolt that plugs in there. The next one plugs into this plastic connector right there, so there's one right there. And then we ran it up and over. You guys can see right here, I'm pointing to the flashlight. There's a connector there. There's a connector behind this bolt, and then there's another connector down here. So there's two there. There's one, two there. There's a connector here. That's where that plugs into. And then this is the front part of this plastic bracket that plugs in there. I believe that's either the TCM or ECM. I'm not really sure which computer that is. Those are all of the frame side locations where you're going to put these little push pins, and that's going to connect everything to right here. There's supposed to be that piece of plastic that we're telling you that we're supposed to go into the end of this frame. Well, none of that's going to work here, because obviously with the ZR2 bumper, that connector is not going to work, that plastic holder. We've got this bumper bracket right here, and so that's not going to work. So we're just going to end up zip tying all this stuff up, probably to this pole right here, or somewhere, you know, some connector up under here, and just that way everything's not dangling. And then, so that's the harness going from the engine to the front, and then your bumper harness right here. You're going to take off the front ring, the spring, and the back ring. You guys can see that here. Basically just unthread that and twist it slightly to the left, and that will basically come off. You're going to run that out the back of this electric wire here, and then from the front you're going to take off this plastic little trim cover. This goes up here if you don't have a block heater. And so once you feed the harness through here, there is a notch at the top of this plastic piece. You're going to want that notch to fit on the top of this plug. And then from the back, you're going to put the plastic ring, the spring, and then the locking ring. Slide that all back up under here. Slide it to the back so it's tight against the bumper, and that will basically secure the back of the electric connector here to this plastic piece. And that way, when you guys go plug stuff in, it's not going to go anywhere. All right, guys, to finish up this wiring, I did plug it in right here. It just slides in, little connector. There was a hole for a Christmas tree, you know, they're already on this harness. Just plugged it in right there, and then kind of just fed this back up under the bumper. And this should be fine, because this is all going to be enclosed by the black plastic fender liner that goes right here. It goes here, here, and here, and so nothing will be hanging down. So, all right, guys, you can see we have two waterfalls coming out the bottom of my Bison tray. I don't know if it's supposed to be like this, but I just drilled an 1/8 inch hole on this side and over on that side, because guys, there was like an inch of standing water in this bottom of the skid plate. And while it may be fine now, but over time, that could definitely cause this thing to rust out. I mean, even though it's that boron steel, it's still metal, it still could rust. So if you guys have standing water issues inside of your skid plate, might be a good idea to drill this out. So on mine, there were actually these little kind of mounds. You guys can see that right there where we drilled a hole. It almost looks like it was dimpled. I don't know, from the factory or from the previous truck that this skid plate was on. But yeah, so there's dimple on both sides. And so we just decided, well, it looks like it was meant to get drilled out, but it never did. So, and this isn't the first time we actually drained this pan. When we pulled the skid plate and the middle skid plate, So there was a crap ton of water, and this side obviously just drained out, but more on the passenger. So quick tech tip: if you've got a Bison or a AT4X AEV, drill out these 2 holes, and this will help keep water from rusting out your skid plate. Alright guys, we got the fender liner back in. You really can't tell there's any difference in here by installing that block heater, but if you guys do see that little electrical wire, that is new. That is part of the kit right there, going on top of the strut, but you're never going to be able to see that. And then up here you can see we have it plugged in. Obviously it's not plugged in because it is 98 some degrees outside, and it's middle of summer, so we will use this in the winter. Obviously not right now. So I just wanted to show you what the final appearance looked like with this little plug, how it looks like. You know, you just unplug it, and that's kind of the final appearance you're gonna have with this front grill next to the fog light. So all right guys, that's pretty much gonna be a wrap on the Bison parts, because you know, we did the bumper, we did that block heater, and we did the winch install as well. So we've had these last 3 or 4 videos going pretty well, and yeah, that's pretty much a wrap on all these projects that we've been doing recently. What's coming up next, guys? Honestly, I don't know. We've got some stuff to do with the Corvette. We've got some more stuff to do with this truck, but I don't know when we're gonna get to that, and kind of waiting on parts, specifically for the Corvette. So it's a little bit of a hint of what's coming up. So yeah, that's gonna be it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video series. If you did, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. If you guys want to help support the channel, I will include part numbers for the kit that we used today. I did buy that online. I think I just bought it on Amazon or eBay. We'll drop a link for that down below, and also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you can give there goes right back into the channel, these projects, the truck and the Corvette, and the shop as well. So that's be it. Thanks guys. Have a great one.